Paling lucu di pagi hari, Desta, Gina, Kenny. Dengerin DGITM paling lucu sekarang. Di pagi hari, Kenny. Dengerin temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Julio, penyiar buruk nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors. Musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life. Get more out of life. The Golden Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil, rasa kopi low acid, rasa kopi lebih kuat, paduan low acid dan susu Belgia yang lembut, paduan sempurna. Golden Coffee, tiap momenmu V Dolce Latte. A perfect Brazilian coffee. Golden Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momen muda kopi.
Paling lucu di pagi hari, Desta, Gina, Kenny. Ngeri DGM sekarang. Hani cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI Night Shift. Musik seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golden Coffee Dolce Latte dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid dan susu padu. Golden Coffee. Hidupkan tiap Golden Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend Brazilian coffee.
Paling lucu pagi hari, Des. Dengerin DGITM. Julio, Ilham, Hani. Temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
With Golden Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid dan susu Belgia yang lembut, paduan sempurna. Golden Coffee. Hidupkan momenmu dengan Golden Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend Brazilian coffee dari
Lucu di pagi hari, Desta, Gina, Kenny. Dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio, Ilham, Han nemenin di sore hari. KPI Night Shift. Musik. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golden Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid yang lembut, paduan sempurna. Golden Coffee. Hidupkan dengan Golden Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend Brazil Ready Wings food.
Paling lucu di pagi, Kenny. Dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio, Ilham, Han. Nah, temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Buronan KPI Night Shift. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, yang lembut, paduan. Golda Coffee, tiap momenmu, Dolce Latte. A perfect blend, Brazilian coffee, dari
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Ani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan kapif, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berasa kopi low acid yang sempurna. Golda Coffee Brazilian Wings.
Di hari Kenny ITM Julio Indi Shift makin
live baru Brazil berasa losu Belgia padu da kedukan di perfect coffee.
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio Ilham Hani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI, night shift, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of
Desta Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio Ilham Hani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI, night shift, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, dan susu Belgia yang lembut. Paduan sempurna. Golda Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momenmu dengan Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend, Brazilian coffee dari Wings Food.
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Desta Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio Ilham Hani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI, night shift, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, dan susu Belgia yang lembut. Paduan sempurna. Golda Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momenmu dengan Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend, Brazilian coffee dari Wings Food.
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Desta Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio Ilham Hani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. Penyiar buronan KPI, night shift, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, dan susu Belgia yang lembut. Paduan sempurna. Golda Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momenmu dengan Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. A perfect blend, Brazilian coffee dari Wings Food.
Paling lucu di pagi hari. Desta Gina Kenny, dengerin DGITM sekarang. Julio Ilham Hani, nah temen yang cocok nemenin di sore hari. penyiar buronan KPI, Night Shift, musik banget. Karena semuanya makin seru di Prambors.
Get more out of life with Golda Coffee Dolce Latte. Baru dari biji kopi Brazil berkualitas. Rasa kopi lebih kuat, low acid, dan susu Belgia yang lembut. Paduan sempurna. Golda Coffee. Hidupkan tiap momen.
For more than a year, the pandemic has ravaged the world, leaving the education sector more vulnerable than ever. Students have been forced to study from home, and schools were required to adapt to remote learning. But the uneven access to technology has widened the inequality of Indonesia's education sector even further. Students from lower socio-economic backgrounds are suffering a great loss to their education, and teachers also face difficulties to teach optimally due to unequal internet access and poor network coverage, especially those that live in the rural regions outside of Java. In Irec 2021, you have the chance to contribute to the progress of our education by using your creativity.
You were shocked to see so many farms lined up. Hey, ho, come on,
Gas! Where's the gas from?
By looking closer at the issues.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
The impact of COVID-19 from 34
There has been no evidence that food handling is an important source of
simple performance such as live streaming music from social media.
is disappointed by government response on food poverty.
By debating your arguments.
Even if there will be this least percent of these startups
within the people in NDP, other or other region to demonstration.
And by letting your ideas be heard.
People out there who need help, they need to earn living in order to sustain their family's economy. Moreover, with the
as a human being, it is our obligation to help people in need, especially in this kind of crisis.
Are you ready to rise to the challenge and have some fun? Welcome to Irec 2021.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Benevolence greeting.
Irec enthusiasts who attended via Zoom, ladies and gentlemen who joined us via YouTube. Good afternoon and welcome to Irec 2021.
My name is Lintang.
My name is Andy. We will be the host of the opening ceremony of Irec 2021. But before we begin, could you guys show us some of your excitement by sending us some reactions or comments through the chat box, please?
Please do so if you can, if you're possible to do so. Can we hear some? Yeah, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for all of your responses. MD, isn't it exciting that even from our own house, we can feel the enthusiasm and excitement of the participants?
You can't be more true, Lintang. The participants and the committee's excitement makes me more pumped up to start this long-awaited competition. So before we begin, let's remind everyone of what IREC is exactly.
Yeah, so Iraq, short for International Relations Singles Competition, is a highly prestigious competition for high school students held by the International Relations Department of Gajah Mada University. The theme this year is very exciting and timely, which is, next slide please. Yes, which is developing innovation to tackle educational issues during the pandemic.
Through this theme, participants are invited to brainstorm the solution to a problem that is very near and dear to us all, which is the education system with the help of fantastic keynote speakers, amazing coaches, and experienced judges.
That's true. Adding to that, participants can also learn from their peers because this year, IREC managed to get over than 300 participants from all across the archipelago. But before we get into it, don't you think it will be fun if I do an impromptu, random Q&A session with you guys, with all of the participants? Don't you think it will help lift up the mood for today?
Sure, I think
Guys, okay, you guys think so too, right? So the first participant that I'm going to greet is, who will it be? Drum roll, be prepared because I may or may not summon your name. So, Irawan Subandi from SMAK Santo Paulus. Are you here with me?
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, how are you feeling today? How do you feel about participating in Irec?
I feel so excited.
So, are there any more addition to what you're feeling?
I feel so happy that I can join this competition, and yeah, I feel very excited.
Okay, what do you hope by participating in this competition?
By participating in this competition, I hope I can improve my English, of course, and then I kind of interested too with debate.
Okay, thank you so much for your responses, and I'm really glad that you have the will to win. So don't forget that by the end of the competition, the winner will not only get prestige, certificate, and prize money, they will also get a free 1 pound long IELTS course presented to you by your English zone.
Other participants can also get a free TOEFL test from Class Bahasa and some door prizes that will be given in the closing ceremony. So make sure to follow this event until the very end. And of course, this event won't be possible without the help of the sponsors, which are Golda Coffee, TM Bookstore, Del Mora, Delta FM Lagu Trenak, 102 FM Prambors Radio Indonesia #1 hits music station,
Suara Gama, Mazda FM, 28,7 FM Radio Yogyakarta, Kelas Bahasa, Dukatif, and FOS DKI Jakarta.
Now, without further ado, let's open the event by watching the welcoming remarks from our president of IREC 2021, the head of the International Relations Department, UGM, and the adjudicators.
Hello everyone, my name is Demas. I'm an international relations student of Universitas Gajah Mada batch 2019, here acting as our chief.
Dear IREC enthusiasts, on behalf of the IREC 2021 committee, I would like to welcome all of the participants who are taking part in our competition. We cannot express how thrilled we are to have more than 100 talented participants from across the country. In this opportunity, I would also extend my sincere gratitude to everyone who has generously supported the event, including the Faculty of Social and Political Science Universitas Gajah Mada, Department of International Relations Universitas Gajah Mada, our sponsors and media partners. Not to mention to all of the committees who have spent much time and effort to welcome all of you today. as it has been 8 years since Irec has become a platform for high schoolers throughout Indonesia to showcase their talent, hone their English skills, and to broaden their horizon. It is an honor for us to be back this year by bringing up the team, developing innovation to tackle educational issues during the pandemic. As pandemic has hit the world over the past year, it has certainly hindered the education realm, which raises a vital concern since education is one of the most essential foundations to form high-quality human resources to support our nation's growth. By quoting to the Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of the Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Nadiem Makarim, this pandemic crisis is a field of optimism waiting for us to harvest, and this crisis is our opportunity to reap progress. With this, I strongly believe that through Irec, it is the chance for us to build Indonesia's education sector more resilient than ever. With that being said, I really hope that the next 3 days will challenge, excite, and inspire you to achieve your full potential. Let us begin and unfold the various events awaiting, and I wish the best luck to all of you Irec enthusiasts.
Hi, my name is Nur Ahmad Yuliantoro. Currently, I'm head of the Department of International Relations, Universitas Gadjah Mada. On behalf of the department, I'm speaking here to express our pride in Komahi, or International Relations Students Corps of Universitas Gadjah Mada, in organizing and holding the 2021 International Relations English Competition, or Irec. Irec is an annual event that has been going on since 2013. In other words, this year's event is the 9th of its kind. This year's event, the 2021 Irec, I've been told, consists of 4 activities, namely debate, speech, storytelling, and newscasting. Irec is a suitable medium to raise awareness of the younger generation, especially high school students, to international issues in the contemporary era, for example, the current COVID-19 pandemic. Irec also promotes social values, responsibility, integrity, and openness. As we know, today, countries worldwide have tried so hard to create various breakthroughs to overcome educational problems and issues severely affected by the current pandemic. These problems and issues have been the background of the 2021 Irec's theme, which is developing innovation to tackle educational issues during the pandemic. We have seen that various issues and various challenges have emerged along with it. For example, unequal access to the internet, inadequate devices to access the internet, high data fees, lack of mastery of science and technology among educators and students, and also difficulties in teaching and learning activities. So from this situation, a big question comes up. What innovations can we propose to address the impacts of the pandemic in the education sector? We understand that even though the world is facing the current COVID-19 pandemic, there are many ways out that can be done to improve the quality and capacity of teachers, staffs, students, and solve the problems of online learning we have so far. It is within this context that the 2021 Irec is expected to foster critical thinking in responding to other educational issues affected during the pandemic. I would like to thank all those who have helped organize this year's Irec. Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Gadjah Mada, the sponsors, the speakers, the judges, and also the participants. Now, of course, we must give special credit to the events organizing committee of Komahi. While having to attend online lectures, they have worked very hard for the success of this event. Without further ado, I now declare that the 2021 Irec officially opens. Enjoy the events, and for those who compete, may the best win. Hopefully, in the end, we all get the benefits of knowledge and network expansion that is useful for times to come. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Demas. I'm an international relations student of Universitas Gadjah Mada Batch 2019, here acting as our chief adjudicators of debate Irec 2021. It's an honor for me to welcome all of you to this year's annual Irec. For more than a year, our life have had to be restricted due to the pandemic, and one of the sectors that have been most affected is educational sectors. We cannot do our physical class activities and directly engage with our teacher. Therefore, I appreciate Irec 2021 for taking the theme, developing innovation to tackle educational issues during the pandemics. Not only to be competitive and strive for the best in this highly prestigious competition, I personally want you to build a sense of community here with fellow participants, the LOs, and the adjudicators, building memorable friendships, experience, and learning many things through various motion and judges. We cannot wait to hear your argument, solutions, and most importantly, your participation in this year Irec. See you there.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Shakira Wijaya, and I will be one of the storytelling judges for the long-awaited Irec 2021. I would like to personally welcome all of you to this annual competition, especially welcome to the storytelling participants. It is great to see so many talented individuals here. I cannot wait to see every single one of your performances and listen to your wonderful stories. I believe you've all worked really hard for this, and soon enough, you are going to show the world what you are capable of. This is your stage. This is your story. Own it. Have confidence in yourself, do your best, and good luck.
Hello all of you participants of Irec. Welcome to Jakarta and welcome to the competition. I am Gabe Nurjayo. I'm going to be one of the judges, and I would like to congratulate you to join this competition, and I would also like to remind you to always keep your spirit up high no matter what happens. Even though in this time of pandemic, you should never look down, you should really look up to the stars, because that's where you're gonna be, and that's where you should hang your dreams really high. Okay, I will see you in the competition, and I will hope that you're gonna work your best and do everything the best that you can. Okay, Godspeed, all the best, stay safe, I'll see you at the competition. Have a nice day.
Hi everyone, I'm Thessalonica Ajong as one of the Irec 2021 Storytelling Competitions judges, and I just want to say good luck for all of you, the participants of Irec 2021, especially the participants of the storytelling competition. I know that all of you are the best storytellers around this country, so I hope that you will prepare your best performance for this competition. Don't forget to be confident, all out, and also try to enjoy your own performance while you are delivering your story. I can't wait to see a lot of great and excellent and also creative performance, so I just wish you tons of luck.
Greetings, Irec participants. Thank you very much for all of you who have registered to join in this competition, and for those who haven't, what are you waiting for? I know that nowadays things are quite complicated. It's difficult for all of us, and it's also very amazing to see all of you are still fighting until now, and I truly appreciate that spirit. I'm here as one of the judges of the speech competition, hoping that all of you are safe and healthy wherever you are. This pandemic era is surely tough for everyone, but I believe that we can go through this. So keep the spirit up, keep fighting, and see you in Irec 2021.
Hello everyone, a warm greetings to all of you, especially participants who have registered for international relations. English Competitions or IREC UGM 2021. Hope you are all keeping well and stay safe. My name is Buyung Alfian and I'll be one of the judges in the speech competitions. A little bit about myself, I'm an education and international development practitioner who is passionate in English and education. I just finished my master's degree from the University of Cambridge last year. You can see a college behind me. In the background is my college, Downing College. And I'm humbled to be given the chance to participate as judge for the speech competition and excited to see you all. So register now if you haven't done so and wish you all the good luck and see you in the IREC 2021. Bye-bye.
Hi, my name is Leah. I'm from EON's International Education and I'm one of the judges for IREC 2021 speech competition. Speech is not just about getting the message through, but also how we deliver the message across, which actually can be quite challenging online. Well, I can't wait to see and meet each and every one of you in the speech competition. Bring out your best self and good luck. See you there!
Hi, all IREC 2021 enthusiasts. Good day to you. My name is Miss Anissa and I'm going to be one of the judges for this cast competitions. Hey! As we all know, IREC 2021 is one of the most prestigious competitions for all high school students all over Indonesia. By this, I hope that first, you can follow the guideline clearly. Second, prepare the script well. And the last one is do and give your best performance, best effort, and best word. I just cannot wait to welcome all of you in these competitions and see all of your best work. I hope that by joining these competitions, you can get a lot of benefits, especially in public speaking. So, I'll see you around!
Hi everyone! During pandemic, there are a lot of things to do. One of them is upgrading your skill. Well, Irec is the best platform for you who are interested in journalistic and you who want to upgrade your skill in journalistic. Therefore, I'm looking forward to seeing you in this competition. See you soon at IREC 2021. Do your best and recollect. Don't forget, stay safe.
Napoleon Bonaparte once said that word is a simple art that lies in the exercise of it. And this applies well in journalism. If there was a craft that needs to be learned on the job, it is the daily editing of news before it is served on the table. IREC 2021 is the right opportunity for you, as you will not only learn how to read news sheet nicely, but you will also learn how to produce news from the very scratch. So ladies and gentlemen, see you in IREC 2021.
Session. This session will be moderated by our amazing friend. Next slide, please. Fanya Tarisa. She is a passionate international relations student who is also a publication intern at IES UGM. Hi Kak Fanya, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. How are you guys?
We're great. How are you, Fanya? Are you excited to be the moderator among our...
I'm great and I'm thrilled. Can't wait to start this session.
Okay, great. Okay, wow. Now that Fanya has mentioned that she's amazed to be moderated this such amazing people, I'm curious, who are they?
Well, MD, our two keynote speakers are Professor Aris Junaidi and Ibu Saur Marlina Manurung, widely known as Putat Manurung. These two people have contributed a lot to the Indonesia's education system, and we just can't wait to hear more from them. So, without further ado, to our moderator and speakers that are currently present here, the space is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, MD and Lintang, for the warm welcome. And yes, I'm definitely thrilled to be here and to join all of you for this very keynote session. It's really amazing that we will hear speeches from both of our amazing speakers today. And before we start, allow me to introduce myself. Oh, sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings to all of us. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, benevolence, greetings, and Rahayu. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the keynote session of Irec 2021. We really hope that all of you here are in good health and conditions whenever and wherever you are, despite the difficult circumstances we're in. So firstly, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Fanya Tarisa Anindita, and I'm an international relations student, batch 2019 at Gajah Mada University, and also an intern at the Institute of International Studies, or IIS UGM. It is really an honor to be acting as the moderator for this keynote session in IREC 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, this year, IREC takes the theme of developing innovation to tackle educational issues during the pandemic, which aims to enhance the skills of IREC participants in exploring and critically analyzing educational issues unfolding during the COVID-19 pandemic. And as been mentioned by our Master of Ceremony, for this session, we will be inviting two inspirational, distinguished, and renowned speakers to give their peace of mind regarding Indonesia's education system. And this keynote session is intended to provide substantial elaboration regarding educational issues in Indonesia by the very experts in order for all of IREC participants to be able to build their arguments and broaden their knowledge regarding issues related to the discourse of education in Indonesia. So the first keynote speech will be delivered by an honorable guest, our very own Professor Aris Junaidi. And today he will present a keynote speech, an opening speech with the theme of educational crisis mitigation during the pandemic and the trajectory of Indonesian education in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to welcome Professor Aris Junaidi to the stage. Professor, are you ready?
Yes, thank you so much for the chance to give.
The floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon to all of you. And the Honorable Head of the study program, International Relations Study Program, Gajah Mada University, and the Honorable Head of the Department of the International Relations, Gajah Mada University, and also Honorable COP of the International Relations student, Komahi, Gajah Mada University, and of course, the honorable guests, all participants, all the judges, all distinguished ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology, I, as the Director of the Learning and Student Affairs, would like to congratulate and convey appreciation to all of the committee and the participants of the International Relations English Competition, or IREC 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, the boundaries between countries are getting more transparent, economically, socially, politically, and culturally. We realize that the present era is the era of Industrial Revolution 4.0 and Society 5.0, in which the global community will be required the master of the Department of Human Resources, Science and Technology. COVID-19 pandemic in the yearly 2020 becoming a very big challenges as well as driving force to accelerate change a movement for the society, including higher education reform. The role of the higher education will be increasingly important as to generate human resources and science and technology as an available wealth and become the investment of the nation and to develop the civilization. In the context of the higher education as an investment opportunity, Indonesia is now having more than 4,500 higher education institutions, with more than 34,000 study programs and more than 8.7 million students and more than 280,000 lecturers. The higher education reform, namely Merdeka Belajar Kampus Merdeka, or we call emancipated learning, try to resolve gap of the society or industrial problem with education learning method. MBKM encouraged students to choose multiple pathways to develop their competencies with flexibility of the learning, informed self-directed learning, and the lecturer as a co-pilot in more creative and innovative learning journey. The values of collaboration is transdisciplinary approach. It's very important for MBKM program. For example, project-based learning, collaborative learning, and off-campus learning activities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, students as agent of change should be empowered through innovative and collaborative program or movement as part of the global citizen to achieve sustainable development goal in society 5.0. Through this competition, Irec 2021, we hope that the students across the globe can express their talent in writing competition. And good luck for all for the participants in this competition. So in the final remark, I would like to thank to all the committee and the participant and congratulations for the successful in this program and good luck for the participant in this competition. Stay healthy and happy. Billahi taufik walhidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We also thank you for the speech, Professor Aris Junaidi. That was surely an interesting and insightful one. So maybe to give a brief recap of what Professor Aris has said, I noted several important points, namely that in this increasingly digital era, the role of higher education, especially to generate human capital in science and technology, as well as a medium of investment for the nation and the advancement of civilization of the nation becomes highly important. This role needs to be contributed also by the more than 8.7 million students registered in higher educations. And Kampus Merdeka, as one of the efforts sponsored by the Ministry of Education, tries to resolve the gap in many education learning methods in Indonesia. Kampus Merdeka also promotes the MBKM. Probably all of you, most of you have heard of it. And MBKM is becoming the new ways of learning in a self-directed mode, in a collaborative manner, and also in off-campus learning that is surely new to all of our students in higher education. And we believe that as students, we are the agents of change who need to be empowered to create changes in the context of Revolution 4.0 and to self-develop ourselves in the present and in the future. We really thank you for the speech, Professor Aris. Before we move on to the next speaker, maybe to give a little bit of introduction. Professor Aris Junaidi was the head of postgraduate student at Gadjah Mada University from 2006 and 2007. He also acted as the education attaché of the Indonesian Embassy in Canberra, Australia from 2009 to 2012. He was also the director of quality assurance, Directorate General of Learning and Student Affairs, Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education from 2015 to 2019, and he is the incumbent Director of Learning and Student Affairs, Directorate General of Higher Education, Ministry of Education and Culture. Again, that was really an inspiring and amazing speech. Professor Aris Junaidi, we thank you for your time and willingness to share your knowledge here, and we really hope to see you again in the future. Any closing remarks, Professor?
Yes, I just would like to say that good luck for all the participants in the International Relation English Competition or Irec 2021. Congratulate again also from the all committee for the successful program for this competition. So thank you so much.
Yes, we really thank you, Professor Aris. And then following Professor Aris Junaidi's speech, we will then hear the second keynote speech by our distinguished guest, who is also the founder of Sekolah Institute. Saur Marlina Manurung, or better known as Miss Butet Manurung. Sekolah Institute, as a little bit of background, is a non-profit organization aimed to bring quality education to secluded areas and indigenous communities all over Indonesia. Ms. Butet Manurung is the director, principal, and founder of this amazing Sekolah Institute. She also received UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Award in 2000. She's also one of Time Magazine's Hero of Asia in 2004. She also received Young Global. Allow me to continue. Ms. Butet Manurung is a young global leader, is a recipient of Young Global Leader from World Economic Forum in 2009. She also received Ernst and Young Indonesian Social Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012. She also received Ramon Magsaysay Awards in 2014. And we're really happy and humbled to welcome Miss Butet Manurung here. And today she will deliver a speech with the theme of the trajectory of Indonesian education reform. I would like to first invite Ms. Butet Manurung to the stage. Hello, Ms. Okay, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you? How is everyone?
Everyone
Can you
is
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. And for this session, I will allow you to present your speech. Are you ready?
Yes, I share screen from my side, yeah?
Okay. Great. Okay, the floor is yours, Ms. Manurung.
Okay. Can everyone see this? Education and Information during pandemic. That's the title I choose today. Can you hear me, Fanya?
Yes, we can hear you, but we haven't seen the presentation.
Yeah, that's the thing when you're talking by yourself, you thought no one is around. Okay, so I talk from my side, yeah, because I've been working with indigenous people. So I will choose this topic, indigenous people and pandemic, because we talk about what is education during pandemic nowadays. But I like to emphasize here that indigenous people is actually the communities that survive the best during pandemic. Yeah, the more they depend on their nature, not depend on the outside world or the world threat, the better they're equipped with the challenges of the pandemic. And because they don't need outside world, they don't need to sell things to the outside world to get money to keep them alive. Yeah, the nature give them food, and at many places, because we been working at the 17 location across Indonesia from Aceh to Papua, and none of them get any case of getting infected by the COVID-19 virus. And because we as the teacher also living with them at least minimum for 2 years, and we live in with them, so it's very lessen the risk of bringing COVID virus into the community. But there is still a risk. So at the moment, so many of them trying to get further into the deep of the jungle, so they will get less risk of being exposed to the outside world. Yeah, so that's the first I would like to highlight here. And also, I also want to bring everyone to the jungle just so we know the sense of how do they live. Yeah, I would like to ask everyone, do you think indigenous people possess knowledge, or we think they are so backward and not clever at all because they don't possess what we have through the school, yeah, through the formal school? So indigenous people, in this case, I pick Orang Rimba, the one that I've been working with the last 22 years. Yeah, they have they have their own knowledge, and they can master hundreds of mammals, hundreds of trees, insects, birds. They know so many things, and they know how to read the signs of disaster, to read the stars to find ways home, to read footprints of certain animal, and they know what is the remedy of certain kind of animal bites, for example. And all of this knowledge are very contextual, and they don't divide knowledge into subjects, yeah, natural science or social science. No, because everything is blending. Like they think the whole universe just full of knowledges, but everything is connected to anything. Yeah. And when we talk about harmony, many people always said indigenous people living in harmony. But what is harmony? Because every indigenous people in the world, they regulate three most important relationships in their life. Yeah. So relationship between human and their creatures, human within each other, and human with their environment. And this led to the sustainability. According to UNESCO, UNESCO, we have to, this is the right time during pandemic that we have to learn from indigenous people in our own countries, because it is proven that their life is sustainable, unlike us that is into materialistic and destructive. And so we're the one who all this time try to teach them to have a better life, but our lifestyle is actually worse and bad, yeah, not compared to what they're doing. And the difference as well between indigenous people and us, in every communities, the whole communities will responsible to teach one kids, and the whole forest will be their classroom. And we also ask, I also want to ask, do you think they have school? Do you think they learn through levels of education, like us in the city? We have kindergarten, primary school, and tertiary education, high school and then tertiary education. We have undergraduate, master, PhD, up to professor. They also have their own. They just have a different name for it. Like in Orang Rimba, for example, indigenous people who live in Jambi province, who is nomad and hunter-gatherer. When they have three different things to call boys, or education for boys. They call it bujang kecil, bujang, and bujang pagan. So for bujang kecil, which means little boys, it's like a kindergarten up to primary school, up to the year 3. So they will learn how to catch small animal like a squirrel, a mouse deer, and then getting bigger, they will learn how to catch python or wild boar. And then when they're getting bigger again at bujang, they will learn how to catch deer, and at the end, at the highest achievement of being a high achievement of the local school, is become a honey tree climber. So it's same as maybe PhD or professor, because it's the most difficult thing. It doesn't enough to be courage or strong to climb up 60 meters tree, but you also, according to them, you need to have like a golden heart, and like surrender to the tree spirit, and you have to be able to talk to the tree spirit that you can able to climb up to the tree. Okay, so according to the research conducted by Dr. Peter Gray, hunter-gatherer children possess a better critical thinking. Why is that? Because their learning method consists of three: playing, exploring, observing. So it is very blur the transition from playing to working. You play with the bow and arrow. From it start to be just a toy of bow and arrow, and then become a real bow and arrow. You can get a real wild boar, for example. You're playing with a slingshot, and then you got a bird, and then you make this bird into like your afternoon tea snack. So it's not unlike us in the city. We buy a robot, but we're not gonna be a robot. But in the jungle, you learn to be a hunter, like playing, but you're gonna be a real hunter one day. So all of their learning are already contextual. When we talk about contextual learning, they already been there. Okay. So what is education issues in Indonesia? So this is my piece of mind. implementing uniform curriculum to a diverse communities like Indonesia who have different geographic, cultural, and local challenges, that's the main issue because it will result in the exactly same geography and similar culture. Our culture will be blending into one kind of culture. Our ideal of cita-cita, yeah, like what is your dream one day, it will be all the same because it's made in Jakarta, the curriculum. There is not enough space for the local knowledge to be involved in the everyday learning. Indonesia itself has 50 to 70 millions of indigenous people, which is quite big. Yeah, it's a quarter. And also there's another research saying that 26% of people live inside and around forests. That means they have set of traditional knowledge that help them to survive for 100 years, even before Indonesia existed. And not to mention other million living by the sea, mountains, and farming sites. Yeah, and this knowledge are all so meaningful to keep them survive and to look after the whole nature around them. And it's very in danger if all of their knowledge and their routines every day replaced by the irrelevant knowledge. If national curriculum is implemented 100%, yeah, the curriculum that is made in Jakarta. And what in the world? In the world, we have 350 millions, or only 5% of global population, who live among 80% of world biodiversity and 90% and possess 90% of cultural diversity. So basically, we owe them more than they owe us, or they even not need us, but we need them because if they do not exist, we probably don't have this oxygen and fresh water anymore, yeah, because they own 80% of the biodiversity. Also, communities who live or depend on the nature should not be given a curriculum 100% from the national one that is ignoring their local livelihood, because it will backfire the outcome. So, okay, long story short, this is the community that I visited the first time in 1999. Yeah, back then they resisting to receive education, but in short story, one day when we already learning, yeah, some of the kids questioned me. They said, we already been able to read and write, but why we could not stop that senso? So back then, senso is ringing, like roaring across the forest, like everywhere, thousands, yeah. And they always think school has to be related to every, to provide solution to their problem. So if there is no solution come out from the education, then the education itself is another problem. And one of the chief also came to me criticizing me. He said, Butat, you always said you have hundreds of students. They are so clever, but none of them can stop those logging gangsters. So this is like a turning point for us, me and my other four fellow. And that when I was assigned back then with the local conservation NGO, and then we established our own organization that want only to focus on education for indigenous people. And we realized that to start the curriculum, to design curriculum, we have to start with the problems, because otherwise there is no correlation, yeah, and they will kick us out from the jungle. So we started to identify all the problems together with the community, and we also identify what is the indicator that you say the education is successful. So if, let's say, the problem is the logging, then the result should be no more logging in the jungle. So by building that, we then can measure the successful, and so it's really unrelated to the national curriculum. We can get some of that, only 10 or 15%, yeah, like, maybe like Pancasila and what is Indonesia. We can have some of natural science, but they have more abundant of knowledge of their own. Yeah, so this is different kind of communities in Indonesia. If you see some people living in the plantation, the middle top one is people in rural Jakarta, people living in the jungle, as a transmigration people. So these people have their own challenges. Yeah, while our education mostly focus on the global challenges, but people who depend on their nature, they have their own challenges. So local challenges should be the first priority before we talk about national or even global challenges. So the knowledge or any new skill that we want to provide them should be an added tool, not replacing what they have. This is some of the photos of our project in Indonesia. I want just to emphasize that all of the curriculum are tailor-made with them based on the local challenges and culture. So this is just example of our curriculum in jungle of Jambi. Yeah, from the beginning, basic literacy to applied literacy, and then generating cadres for them to do advocacy about their rights and also to become citizens of Indonesia, right and obligation, and how to access the facilitation that provided by the state. And this is just a glance of our schools in Indonesia. Yeah, since 2003, we have established 17 locations and reached more than 15,000 beneficiaries. I just quickly explain about this. This is our program. So before we start the school, we have to do a stage that is called assessment. So we conducted field study about what is their problem, what is their culture, and then we have some question that we will address during that time. So assessment usually about 2 weeks to 3 months. So it depends on how we deal with that. And when it's approved by the assessment group, then we will start basic literacy. Every teacher has to teach in the local language and following their routine. If they go to the sea for fishing, then we can follow them fishing, or we just wait until they have their free time. Isn't school means waktu luang, yeah, leisure time. So school and school for life that they already have is different. The school that we bring is school. The school for life that they have is to give them life. Yeah, if we replace their school for life with our school, they will not have life anymore. And after that, applied literacy, and then leading to the advocacy. So when they have their own teacher from the local, like a cadre, and also we make sure that the local leaders also teaching the local skills and knowledge. Yeah, like hunter, a good hunter will teach how to be a good hunter, or people can do mantra or cosmology, pantun, like different kind of skills. We have to make sure that the local leaders also manage to generate all of this knowledge that they have. So we don't want to for them to ignore and to forget that, because that's actually the main skills and main knowledge to make sure that they are survive in those kind of geographic condition and culture condition. Sorry. Okay. Oops. Yeah, school teaches you how to live. So this is like a, how do you call it? Like so many indigenous people in Indonesia, even farmers or fisher, calling school as something that teaches your kids to leave their homeland. Yeah. Why is that? This is some of the reason why, because in many cases, sometimes when you go to primary school, for example, it's in the same kecamatan, yeah, or sub-district. And then when you go to SMP, high school, you go to district, kabupaten, or even province, the capital province. And then when you have to go to the university, you have to go to Java Island. This is when you talk about in the Eastern Indonesia, yeah. To get a good one, you go to Java Island. Parents selling all of their lands and many things in order to be able to send their kids to university. But when the kids come back to their homeland, the lifestyle or the knowledge and the skill that they acquire from the university, it doesn't it doesn't relate it to the challenges that their homeland has. So it's always there's a gap, and this student will think that, oh, my kampung, my parents are so backward and they really stupid, and I better go back to where I study because my knowledge only comprehend to the place where I study. It doesn't have use in the in my homeland. Or they will just blame each other, and the parents will say, why my kids become so humiliating me, like my kid doesn't want to stay in the kampung anymore, so they blame each other. Yeah, why? Because some of the schools also teaching something that is not related to the local needs. Yeah, if people in the jungle going to school, the school will never teach them how to be a good hunter. And because the whole day they spend at school, and then by the time they finish what is it, SD or primary school, they do not know how to hunt animal anymore. And so many schools in Papua with the residency school, so many parents try to withdraw their kids from the school because every time, like every Christmas, when the kids come back to parents' place, which usually takes one day to walk, they do not know how to harvest sagu anymore. They do not know how to cattle animal, and that's really worrying for the parents. Yeah, this is I will not go to one by one to all of this, but this is just to remind us that so many thing that education, mainstream education bring is actually humiliating the local knowledge. Yeah, or one of the very obvious is if you see school building anywhere in Indonesia is the same, but we have traditional houses everywhere. So imagine if we learning by hanging in the tree, or if we learning going into like a UFO aeroplane. It will feel weird for us because we're not used to live in that kind of building. So imagine people living in Honai and that makes by grass, living in the stilt house, and then suddenly you have to sit at the chair that you never seen all of your life, not even your parents, and you were asked to hold a pencil, but you usually very used to hold the spears. Yeah, so you will hold this pen like you holding the spears. So and then again, always the kids being blamed because they will say, oh, you are so backward and you are so wild. And then you teach them in Indonesian language, teaching them literacy in Indonesian language. And there is a research actually saying when you teach kids reading and writing, you should teach them in the mother tongue language. Yeah, like many countries in Europe already adopting this research. Yeah, they will not teach English to people, to kids in like in Dutch or in Italy, Germany. They will teach them in the local language, in Dutch, in Germany, in Spanish, for example. So they will learn English by the time at around year 3 or year 4, because that will instill the way of expressing, the way of culture. That's really instilling because that's the age when you are growing and nurturing your culture and many things. So I will not go to one by one. And so this is question I want everyone maybe to question themselves. Yeah, why during this pandemic in Indonesia um we always blame internet signal that is the problem of education in Indonesia, as if that is the only source of education from our teacher. Why is that? Is it one and only problem, or do you realize that there is an abundant so a person as a source of a knowledge around you? If you are living around the lake or around the around the like around the lake or river or sea, you should have know how to be a good fisher, how to do good fishing, and that's already a good sign for me that pandemic should give us a new awakening that our education is not contextual, because you depend on signal, and signal is not part of the ecosystem of the education. It's just a tool. And there should be another way to make the kids acquire their own knowledge, yeah, by doing research, by doing observation, playing, exploring, like the hunter-gatherer did. And why are always determined and created by Jakarta? And why not from in Jakarta, maybe from Western, and we're busy with PISA? Why not from the surrounding, especially for people living in rural? Because you're not gonna live in Jakarta anyway. If is this Jakarta people ever been a hunter gatherer or a fisher or a farmer? Do they have a very good farm or rice paddy field? If so, then maybe we can listen to them. But if not, why should we? Or are we gonna be like them? So that's also a critical question that we have to be humble to answer. I might be wrong, but I have to be given a chance to express this, and we have to think about this. How contextual can we build education during pandemic, with or without phone signal? If you have phone signal, then you can learn, but we also have to make sure that that's not the only source of school. Yeah, and I'm happy with the fact that Minister of Education have a policy of curriculum mandiri, yeah, independent curriculum. We have to take advantage of that. So what can we do at the fact of how diverse is our community in Indonesia? Yeah, so we have to make sure, like, because all of you are students, you will one day doing this Campus Merdeka or KKN, or maybe become volunteer, or when you finish study and back to the society, we have to be an agent of diversity. We have to promote our diversity, because diversity will not kill our Indonesia, our nationalism. Yeah, it will make it even more diverse, and that's our wealth. And an education program, any program that you bring to the society or to the rural, should be contextual and should answer their problem, their challenges, and adopt the native point of view. Because what we think right, that doesn't mean also right for them. What we think is good, not always good for them. Yeah, like orang rimba once was offered to have a income generating by having honeybee program. Yeah, you don't need to climb honey tree because it's waste your time, waste your energy. Why not just having this like a budidaya, yeah, like a income generating by having these bees in the boxes, and so you get a lot of money. And when the orang rimba asked back, why do we need to have a lot of money, these people cannot answer. So not everyone think that money is the highest priority of life. So for orang rimba, the highest priority is the existence of the forest. Yeah, so that will be different. So the life purpose and the education purpose should be parallel. And when they're not balanced, then you have to choose. For indigenous people, the risk is they will demolish these natural resources, because the way they seeing their resources, before it was like a forest is my mother, or father, or forest is seen as a cultural aspect. Yeah, but when you change your life purpose into money oriented, then the way they see forest will be resources, economic resources. They will sell all the forest because that's what they need. It changed. Yeah, so we have to think about it as well. But that doesn't mean you don't you stop them from accessing to be modern. Yeah, they always have a right, but please don't don't impose them, or don't force them into a situation where they don't have choices. So there's a freedom of choices for everyone, should be. Yeah, this is just a quote from orang rimba, actually. They think I think as well, our education is too much orienting into future. Yeah, we learn from we are in primary school, into high school, and then become like a undergraduate, and then you go to work. Yeah, so they always questioning, do you practicing what you learn on the primary school when you are finished undergraduate, or how? Yeah, for orang rimba, school must give benefit to life today, not 20 years from now, because what you learn now might be already expired and useless in 20 years. That's not contextual anymore. So to them, school must give benefit to our life today, because if we nurture our todays, we nurture our future. So not too much or addressing for global challenges or to have a bright future. Okay, the last page from me, just some pieces of um, my worries, yeah, my concern that our culture is too Eurocentrist. Yeah, culture is always seen as a romantic ornament, static and nostalgia. It fails to integrate culture as part of modern science, such as natural or social science. It's just seen as something that is not moving at all, not having any use for our life today. And curriculum 2013 at primary school should not be based on subject, but should be thematic. I know that it's already been saying that it is thematic, yeah, for example, keluarga or family. But in the end, paradoxically, curriculum was even stated as thematic, but the grading system is still based on subject. Yeah, maths, biology. But if it is based on thematic, you will talk about family, for example, but in family, you already talk about so many disciplines in there. Yeah. And you talk about building a character, but still the focus is on cognitive grading. You grade people's character by giving them mark. And who are you who can give that grade or grading on someone's character? And that's really absurd. And mainstreaming the formal curriculum and benchmark as one size fits all will result in uniformity of skills and geography. You can see every cities in Indonesia, it's are look like Jakarta already, and it's going even further to every provinces. That some of people in the like farming areas sometimes idealizing their capital province, yeah, or idealizing even Jakarta, and that's I think the problem that we bring from the curriculum, because our curriculum is idolizing Jakarta or Western. We talk all the time about we need to catch up, like ketertinggalan, yeah. We need to catch up so we can have a competency of like global competency. As if we don't have competency, if we don't have the similar competency that the Western people has, we forget that we have a lot of skills and we have abundant resources, natural resources that not other country has. And that is already big achievement. That in that matter we are the leader, and the Western have to catch up with us because they don't have good rainforest, for example, and so many other things. And I already mentioned that uniformity means removing of local wealth. We already know so many our local languages already removed, yeah, already gone, like hundreds of them, 170 or something, because we've been imposing people to speak Indonesia and we're not documenting that language. Why language is important? Because language is the mother of the culture, the glue of the culture. When you remove the language, the skill is gone and the natural resources is gone as well. Okay, so that's it. Use emic approach. And the last thing is I would like to encourage everyone to take advantage of Campus Merdeka as you are a student. And also Curriculum Mandiri maybe can encourage when you come to any school to volunteer. You can maybe give them ideas or help them to build curriculum mandiri, yeah, because curriculum mandiri is very successful, but not many wants to do this because they're not confident enough that they are capable enough. But it's actually already proven that the kids getting more advantage from this. I think I think it's finished. Fanya. Oops.
Okay, it's really great.
How to
yeah.
stop? How to stop? Have I stopped
Yeah, our
already?
team will help stop the presentation. Okay, that was really amazing, and we really thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the lessons you gave us. You have included in your speech, Ms. Butet Manurung. From that speech, I'm still in awe with what you have explained regarding the Sekolah Institute and what drives you to build this institute to promote and advance education for indigenous communities. And I myself, as someone learning. I'm a student minoring in peace and conflict studies, and I really see how critical these lessons you have just given us. Also considering how communities grounded your perspective, you and your team's perspectives are in advancing education for indigenous communities, and I learned a lot. I noted a lot of points here, by the way. And if you would allow me, please let me perhaps give a brief recap of what you have just explained to us. Some of the important points that I've noted is that first, contrary to popular belief, contrary to what most of people would assume, indigenous communities are extremely rich in knowledge. They have all of this set of knowledge that are traditional, yet they are very contextual, and they are designed to fit their needs, and especially related to their survival, their whole generation's survival. And Ms. Butet Manurung, you said yourself that you've learned harmony from these people, and that learning within the communities of indigenous people, you found that there were three important relationships that form their communities, their ecology. First, that the relationship between humans and their creators, between humans and with their peers, with each others, and also between humans and their environment. The last point, the later, leads to sustainability within their lives. And you also said that hunter-gatherers children, it is written within a study that these children possess better critical thinking through all of these methods of playing, exploring, and observing in their daily lives, even from their childhood until they are adult. And in the jungle, they learned so many of these important skills and all the necessary skills that they need that in their adulthood, they will become the hunters with all of this knowledge that they've gained since they were children. And you also said that implementing uniform curriculum the way we do now to these diverse communities can actually harm their way of learning, their way of thinking, which we really need to note that these people possess different geographical, cultural, and local challenges. And they are very diverse with a very diverse conditions in many parts of Indonesia, different parts of Indonesia. And I also noted that there are 26% of people, indigenous people in Indonesia, who live in and around forests, which means that they have their own distinct set of knowledge, evolutionary knowledge, again, mostly related to their survival, and that 50 up to 70 million members of these indigenous communities, these lives depend on the nature. And you also said that I also agree that they should not be given a curriculum that ignores completely their local livelihoods. And education with the absence of this cultural and contextual understanding will eventually backfire the outcome. And we would not like to see that in the course of our education evolution in Indonesia. Some of the quotes that we've heard from indigenous chief that Ms. Butet Manurung have visited, which also became the turning point for Sekolah Institute, is that first, one of the indigenous chiefs in Jambi, if I'm not mistaken, Orang Rimba, he said that we have already able to read and write, but why could not we be able to stop the chainsaw? And then Ms. Manurung then identified that the many problems that they are facing, for example, are deforestation, transmigration projects, logging, the development of national parks, businesses and industries geared by the governments or NGOs, and the growing market for all of these agricultural products. And these are the problems that Orang Rimba and many indigenous communities in Indonesia have to face, and they also have to resolve these issues. But again, by themselves, we don't think that would be sufficient, yeah. And yes, one of other points that I think is really interesting is that how Miss Butet Manurung emphasized how uniformity will kill diversities, and this is the one thing that uh, I don't often realize this, but then thinking about it again, we as a student of higher education, I myself have gone through formal educations designed by the government. I realized just how harmful killing these diversities, and tending ourselves to uniformity for our whole learning years. You said that uniformity do not teach skills according to local geographics potentials. It would instead strengthen and removes local cultures. It also does not accommodate local ways of learning. It does not accommodate local point of view. It does not address local problems the way orang rimba face their local problems, and they do not also validate local knowledge. And it's also interesting that it reminds me how school buildings are all designed the same. They have the same structure, and we can see them even from maps. We always see them with this L or U shape. They are the same.
Yeah.
State schools are the same, and then we are forced to think the same. Because we don't have any models or types that show us those diversities. Even when we know the fact that we have 100 types of traditional houses in Indonesia with their own shapes and their own functions and purposes and designs, and they specifically cater to the living conditions of indigenous communities in Indonesia. You also propose some of these questions that confronted me too. First is that why is internet signal always considered a one and only problem? Considering we're also during this pandemic, yeah. Uh, Again, time and again, we're always troubled with signal and with Wi-Fi and internet connection at home. And those that become the only problem that we think are the most important, the most troubling during our school days. And then you also pose the question of why are the learning sources are always determined and created by Jakarta, by Java, and not by all these um, intellectuals from indigenous communities in Sumatra, Kalimantan, Sulawesi, Papua. Also asked how contextual can we build education during the pandemic? Again, linking back to the first question, with or without phone signal. Um, Before wrapping up, you also left us with some of the important notes of what we can do. Firstly, you reminded us that education program should always be contextual. And we also need to adopt native point of view. And that's the one thing that Indonesians are actually very rich of. We are very advantaged with having all of these indigenous communities we can learn from. As you also mentioned, humans are actually the source of knowledge that we need to consider first and foremost before internet, before anything we can access online. You also said that solutions to many educational issues need to be locally grounded, and not always globally. As I myself am trying to detach myself from all of this globalization, context, and cosmopolitanism, and try once in a while just to think about how complex and vast and diverse life could be in other parts of Java, in other parts of these big cities we're living in. And you also said that we need to promote diversity and even be an agent of diversity. Uniformity, again, might pose harm. It will kill the diversity within us, within our communities. And it's also important to try our best to design and implement reciprocal learnings within our surroundings. And yes, I do agree with some of your last points that perhaps the education system in Indonesia are referring much to the Eurocentric type of education. And yeah, it is the resilience within us, within our indigenous communities, that will help us learn more than we can now. And yeah, I think we have learned so many things. And yes, we have duration. Okay. Again, thank you so much, Miss Butet Manurung. I think
Well,
it is.
Fanya, I'm so
Yes.
impressed. I'm so impressed with you.
No, it's my honor.
Yeah. You gain such a you catch it, you grasp all the messages. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm really interesting. I'm really interested with these indigenous issues, and really glad I can share the stage with Miss Butet Manurung. And I think it's our time to allow some of the participants here to maybe share their thoughts, or perhaps they also have questions of their own that they would like to pose to Miss Butet Manurung. For question and answers, you may raise your hand, and I will allow you to open your mic to raise the question directly. Or in any case, if you prefer, you can also type the question in the Zoom chat box with the given format. Can the committee please type down the format? And also, don't forget to mention, your question. And our committee has also prepared 3 PM bookstore vouchers worth 50,000 rupees each for the first 3 persons who submitted their question. It's really interesting. We already have a raised hand here from Septi Widya.
Hello. Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to say thank you so much for your explanation. It's such a new knowledge for us, especially students. You're such an inspiring woman. Okay, I'm a little curious about the transaction system that they use. You've said that money is not really important for them. So my question is, do orang rimba use money for transactions? If so, where do they get the money from? If not, what do they use for the transaction in daily life? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your opportunity.
Ms. Butet Manurung, if you allow me, I will collect the questions first, and then I will direct it to you. Any more question? Let's see. Do you have any in the comments? Okay. We have one from Hirai. Okay. From Hirai, based on my opinion that yes or no, we as the indigenous people have to be adapted by a centralized and generalized school culture, as someday our living places would be acquired by the local government to improve the GDP. By the way, are you agree with that, Ms. Butet Manurung? Okay, we'll save that question. Let's see. We also have Michael. How can youths in the city learn more like the indigenous people, especially in relation to contextual learning and learning about sustainability? Okay. Okay, we'll keep the questions. Do we have any raised hand, by the way? It would also be great to propose your questions directly to Ms. Butet Manurung. Yes, we do have one from Jayantari.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. It is a really great explanation and material from Ms. Butet Manurung, very inspirational. And there is one question that came to my mind when you say that our education is really centralized in Java or in Jakarta. And I really want to ask about the upcoming issue about the development of our capital in Kalimantan. What do you think about that development, Ms. Butet Manurung? Because on the other hand, it opens wider possibilities for students to have wider access to education, especially for the indigenous people in Kalimantan. But on the other hand, also, it also endangers the nature, the environment of where the place takes a capital city development. So what do you think about, what do you have in mind about that issue, Ms. Butet Manurung? Thank you.
Okay. Maybe I will allow one person who would like to raise their hand while I'm monitoring for question here. Do you have anyone more raise hand? Okay, if no, perhaps I will direct the question. The first question from Septi Widya, ya. The question relates to the transaction system. So how do orang rimba use money for transactions, or do they have any means of perhaps exchanging or any other transaction means in their economic activities? Ms. Butet Manurung, will you please
Yes,
answer?
yes. Okay. Thank you. I forgot the name of who's asking about that. Yeah. So we first thing we agree, yeah, that indigenous people existed long before Indonesia, and we have rupiah as our currency, and so they already have their own currency long beforehand. Like orang rimba, in the past, they have what they call it kayu inyu. That means like a piece of clothes, but made by the tree bark, and then you hammer it, and it will make like a very precious currency. And if you propose for marriage, or if you fine by doing a mistake, you have to get paid the fine with that. And then along the way, it changes, and now they have like a batik. This is a kind of funny batik from Java as a currency of their traditional currency. So if you propose someone for marriage, you can give for like maybe 40 pieces of batik, and if you cut down like a honey tree, it's equal to someone's life, which equal to 500 pieces of clothes, pieces of batik. So that's the currency. But that's when you say money is not so important, they now using money because they are now adapting rubber plantation farming as well. Even though they're not the direct farmer, they pay someone from outside to be a farmer. They're very rich, and yeah. So if you say they don't need money, they once came to me as well saying that, Ibu, everyone said we are poor, and we asked them to value their wealth, and it comes up like the simple research. It comes up with the surprising fact that each of the family can have like 20 billion. Is it milliard in English? Billion, 20 billion rupiah. So we are a lot more poor than them. So money is not their first priorities, but they do need money because they also buying like salt, sugar, coffee, tobacco, and some and fish. That the most important thing they like to buy from the market is fish. But they think the best food is the game animal they have in the jungle, and I have that for 9 years being intensively living in the jungle. There is no replace best food is from the jungle. It's organic, it's fresh, it's free, and it's delicious. Yeah, but again, so they use money for that. Yeah, but money is not the most important thing. And it's happening anywhere in Sumba. Also, the woven, it's also transaction. When people die, you have to bring kain tenun, yeah, woven. You cannot bring money. As much money you have, it will not considered as a equal. Yeah, because when you do weaving, it's also someone is using that with your own energy, time, sweating and love and pray, and different motives is different purpose of every weaving. So that's really valuable. And okay, I think I go to Hirai question that we
Yes, you may.
yeah, is it asking that someday we will have to adapt to is it like the development or something, and to see the future, so we have to is the question, we have to learn as well, like consider that we have to contribute to the GDP. Is that right, my understanding of the question? Am I agree or not?
Perhaps Hirai, are you able to propose your questions directly? Perhaps to explain a little bit clearly. Do we have Hirai here?
Yeah, I'm here actually. Okay, so based on my opinion that yes or no, we as the indigenous people, so we are representing as the indigenous people have to be adapted by centralized or and generalized
Oh, yeah.
culture. What I mean is formal education, as someday our living places will be acquired by the local government to improve their GDP. It means that if our living places in the forest, yeah, it will be acquired.
Yeah, a big risk. That's true. Yeah, and okay.
And by the way,
Is it
are
finished?
you agree with that?
Yeah. Okay, I'm not agree. I'm not agree, Hirai. So yeah, that's again, we always counting our how do you call it, pertumbuhan
growth.
economic growth always
Economic
by
growth, yes.
GDP. Yeah, we never counting how much that we have lost, like natural resources, languages, skills, people's identity, people's confidence. It's removed. Yeah, if you go to the many indigenous people that already like spilled by all this development, their confidence is getting less because they now are adopting a different measurement. Yeah, you know, when you are a hunter, you have this confidence and pride. I'm a good hunter. And then when you suddenly become a worker at the factory of palm oil, what can you proud of? You just you only have your muscle to carry all this palm oil, and you suddenly become at the very bottom of the structure of the workers at the plantation. But when you are in the jungle, you're a very high. You can feed yourself. You're not depend on this factory. So what I mean is development is sometimes develop dependency rather than independency or a source of money that is sustainable available there. So dependency is what I want to say is dependency is a biggest enemy for indigenous people and actually for all of us. Yeah, make sure that we have enough skills or source of being mandiri, yeah, independent. So that's the biggest and GDP also should have another measurement. Oh, maybe Fanya can do this in your international relation. Why is it always GDP? Why not indigenous people count it as well as, you know, oxygen is priceless, and water and you know, all the biodiversity. You never count how many biodiversity gone each year. You only counting growth. Yeah, and when you say if it is like a scale, it's actually like this: one is up, one is down. And if you make the median, it's actually not growing, and maybe even less. So that's what I'm worried about. So I'm not agree with that. And indigenous people always considered as the least contributor of GDP. Yeah, I don't understand why. And I want to emphasize that they do their part, because if they have to contribute for GDP, they're gonna be like a worker at the palm oil, and it will contribute a lot less than if they looking after their area. I think that's what I'm trying to say, Fanya.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting regarding dependence. It is really indeed an enemy in many developing countries. In Indonesia,
Yeah.
especially, yeah, we have all of these indigenous communities who have built their lands, and their lands are being taken,
Yeah.
their educations being, yeah, removed, and dependence. It is
In the
indeed,
name of development. Yeah.
yeah, for the sake
Yeah.
of development.
Yeah, so many happen that every sorry Fanya, yeah, like indigenous people given like 2 hectares of land, so they remove from the jungle, or the jungle may be taken over by plantation or even by national park or reserve area, and then they think it's development to build a new resettlement area. So each of the family given
Indeed, yeah.
2 hectares of plantation and given a new religion, a new school, a new way of dress, and they think it's a civilization. And so many research and even evidence, because this has happened since 1980s, it's actually backward. There is no development in there, and so many of them going back to the jungle, but because the jungle is already closed and they cannot access that, so many of them become like a beggar. They cannot life, like they cannot live their life, confidently because they lose everything. They don't have anything. Like so many orang rimba in Sumatra become beggar along the Trans Sumatran Highway because they lost their forest and they cannot cope with the changes in the resettlement area. So they still nomadic, but along the highway, asking for food from everyone. Yeah,
It's really
that's
hard to hear the stories. I've heard one from Mentawai, Miss Butet Manurung.
yeah. Mentawai is right.
Mentawai, it was during the Suharto era, so it was new order. It was really hard for them because they had to resettle, they have to convert religions. They
Yeah.
did their education, yeah, change their occupation as well because they need to work for the government. They didn't have their homes being abandoned. Yeah, that was really hard, of course.
Yeah, and still they were blamed if it is not successful. They were blamed,
True.
saying that, oh, you're too wild, you're too ungrateful. So the fact that there is should be a mechanism to count, to consider their contribution, yeah, like how much biodiversity that they look after, it should be counted. I don't know, measure as a GDP, different kind of way to count that one. So they're not considered as an useless.
Okay, it's really fun to have this conversation going on. But
Recording stopped.
Miss Litet Manurong, we still have the last question from Jayanti.
Recording in progress.
Regarding the transfer of capital in Indonesia, and how do you think that will affect the indigenous communities of Kalimantan, especially regarding education? Yeah.
Yeah, the new ibu kota, yeah, the new capital city. Yeah, I have someone from Harvard who has done a very good research and get the voices from the local indigenous knowledge where they've been replaced for this capital city. But she's been just haven't heard because her research is actually get like a winner in Harvard as a very good comprehensive research, but still not accepted as a sources for consideration, right, for this new capital city building. So I think what's the question in the indigenous people? I thought the question is also indigenous people need to have a wider knowledge so they can anticipate this capital city building. Is that right? Yeah.
Jayanti, would you like to clarify?
Development in
Yes,
burning.
that's my point of question.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So so this is also the highlight, yeah. Like so many indigenous people, I was advised to teach all of this new knowledge or new skill that one day every indigenous people will face this development, modernization, capitalism, and blah blah blah. But I will say that's again is about future. So indigenous people is a very pragmatic people, yeah. If it is not in front of them, if it is still in the future, of course they worried about that. But their priority is the challenges that they face at the moment, yeah. So I will say that not all indigenous people need to learn school because school still from Western. Literacy, when you say literacy, is Latin letters, still from Western. We have our own letters actually, or totem or any other or oral tradition. Yeah. So
Yes.
when you worried about future, of course you can worry about that, but that's not the priority. The priority is what's in front of our face at the moment, yeah. Orang Rimba always said, why all the good school in Jakarta, like Sekolah Unggul, but they have a very dirty and full of rubbish ditch just next to the school. So what do they learn at school? It's not contextual. The best school in Jakarta knows all of the capital city of all of the countries in the world, but they don't know their Pak RT. They don't know who's sitting next to them, why they're not being in the class today. Because do they know what happened to your friend? Like, being a sensible a person. So for indigenous people, that's also considered very logical. What you learn should be about today, and what you learn should give benefit so many times I try to teach them something, but I being rejected because I cannot show them what is the use of, for example, decimal or logarithm, integral. It's not part of my life. I don't want to learn about that. And I was so impressed because I never questioned my teacher when I was at school. Why do I need to learn integral, Bu? And because it's come out in your exam. But what is that related to my life? We learn too much, I think, from our school. And my student once asked me, why do you learn 12 years, yeah, from SD to high school, and then university? Why not reading, write, counting, and then straight away to university? Because he thinks, because universities more make sense to them because it's already specialized on something that you're passionate about, but not this 12 years of education. So to me, indigenous people have to be given choices, but don't expose them to too far away, too advanced knowledges that they might not need at the moment. Yeah, it's like you giving a computer to a place with no electricity. It's it's far. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's my answer. Have
Really
I
great.
answered Michael's question that how can youth in city learn more like indigenous people?
Yeah, we still have that one question, but I think we're gonna hold that first. We have some raised hand here. Uh, from Leora Leticia. I'm really sorry we have limited amount of time, so I have to choose. Please, Leora.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much to Fanya Tarisa and thank you to Miss Butet. It's such an honor to ask you a question here. I've been a big fan of your work of Schola Rimba, and you're such a big inspiration for me. So my question is that after teaching and living for several years with indigenous people, what was the best outcome that you have achieved teaching them through Schola Rimba? And how do you feel about it? Are you satisfied with the results? And what are your hopes for our government in developing these indigenous people, especially through an educational point of view, like their educational needs? Do you have any specific suggestions to them, like maybe a system that can work for a lot of other indigenous peoples throughout the region of Indonesia? Thank you so
So
much.
thank you, Leora. Very comprehensive question. Very good. Thank you. Did I answer straight away, Panya?
Let's welcome the last.
Sure.
Okay, let's welcome Fiola first, and then we're gonna answer both. Fiola, please propose your question.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Kak Fanya, and thank you juga Ms. Butet Manurung. Thank you for the very great discussion. I really like what we're discussing here. So I have a question. It's true that you said that these hunter-gatherers, these indigenous people, they think of the now, and so that's why the things are normal to us, like learning things for the future, for a future that might not happen, seem very meaningless to them, like you've said in the previous question. So, but maybe it's because because it's been indoctrinated in me, but there's still this part of me that feels there's still a necessity for you to learn about the future and for you to develop. So I want to ask, in your opinion, is there a way for development and indigenous people to go hand in hand? Because of course we still need development, but we don't, as you said, we don't want this development to end up killing the original indigenous culture that we already have currently. Is there a way for development to go hand in hand with indigenous culture? Is there a way for progress to still not sacrifice the precious knowledge of the past?
Yeah.
Thank you, Viola. Yes, you may answer those questions. Those are loaded questions, yeah, Ms. Ustad Manurung.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, maybe come to Michael just quickly. Youth in city learn more like indigenous people. That should be. We need like a reformation or revolution about our curriculum. But if not, yeah, I have some of my team who also teachers at international school, but also teacher in the jungle. So she really give a very good revolution in within the school that she's been with. For example, mix all of the subjects, and when you give one assignment, yeah. So my friend is a geography teacher, and he give like a assignment about coffee in Indonesia. But the one who the supervisor is apa guru menggambar ya, like art teacher, and
Teacher,
then
yeah.
biology, and then bahasa Indonesia, English. So she tried to mix everything because she said our life is not divided by mata pelajaran, by subject. So we have to learn how to mix things by the theme, the thematic, yeah. So the thematic is should be the main important things, not the subjects. One thematic can be in many. So that's one thing. And another thing is contextual things. Contextual, like the orang rimba. Every learning material should be relevant to your life. If you're not gonna go to the moon, why do you have to the planet? Why do you have to learn about our planet? Like you can learn about it, and at the moment we have this internet. Yeah, it's not like when I was little. My source of learning is from teacher. Library is not even like not good at all. Yeah, so then you have to learn from them. But that's also being questioned. Why do you need to learn about planets if you will not go to that? That's also the question. Why don't we know abundantly? But it's better to know one thing but deep rather than many but useless to your life. That's what I mean about orang rimba when I said come back to viola again. Yeah, when orang rimba said I don't want to learn about maybe in the future, but I want to know if I can kick out these loggers. Why do I need? So that's also one of my achievement. Come back to Liora, yeah. Why do I need to learn all this decimal ibu while the census still ringing there? I want to know what sort of knowledge that I need to learn so I can kick out them. So many things. We talk, and one of them come up making a film, making a map of the resources, of the cultural resources, making a map, learning Indonesia, learning to make scenario, to edit the film. And those things is one of the achievement, and it takes 11 years until they can make this film. The film won amateur documentary film in Australia, and they can advocate for this. After 11 years, the National Park Board like admitting that actually orang rimba is part of the forest, is part of the ecosystem. They are not the threat. And looking at their map that they make for many years, the map shows that their culture is actually instilled in the ecosystem or the food chains. And if we remove orang rimba from the jungle, it's actually will make it unbalanced because they've been creating all of these food chains all of this time. Yeah, so it takes 11 years sometimes, but that's my hope for all indigenous people in Indonesia, or even for the government, to give a chance to every indigenous people. There is UNDRIP, yeah, maybe Fanya also know, United Nations Declaration on Indigenous Peoples' Right, that they think to be able to be optimal, indigenous people should um, make benchmark by themselves and make the school within their own languages and within their own indicator of success, something like that. So they're, because it's about their lives, so they're who the one who need to divine what do they need is protection. They don't have to fight with the plantation company, of course, because company have bulldozer, have gun, have a big clever lawyer that big chances to win. So instead of teaching orang rimba about law, why not give them protection, give them RUU masyarakat adat. It's still not agreed by the parliament. It started since 2014 until now is not ratified yet. But omnibus law only take 1 year already finished. So
Yes,
what
exactly.
what do they need is recognition and protection. So I not agree to say that orang rimba need to learn law, like the biggest law in the world, or or computer and stuff. I know it might be in the future, but let them decide when and how. But what do they need is from us to help them, to support them. Where there's lawyer here, maybe can help them to protect their area. There's a surveyor, there's a doctor. I might say maybe one of them can be a doctor, of course, but we not teach them to be a doctor like all of them. So there's always have to be provided access for them to if they have many choices. Should be provided with access, with choices of different kind of future. But that doesn't mean we impose them. They can choose, and it might seem absurd to you. Yeah, I don't know how to explain, but all of our students with Sekolah, none of them live in their jungle, but instead they bring the knowledge or the modern component to the jungle. You know what I mean? Like they learn about handphone, they learn about Facebook, even though there is no signal in the jungle, there is no electricity, but they know this is part of learning and part of building connection with the world in their own way. But until now, they refuse to have electricity in the jungle. They have their own parameter about that. They think we do not need electricity because we have sun, and we do not need to be connected that much to the world. So we choose when to be connected to the world, because they can walk to the hill and they can climb to the tree to get signal. So yeah, that's I think yeah, that's the best outcome. I think I answered Leora. And how, what is the best system again? To me, like the curriculum mandiri is the best answer. This is also come back to Michael. Curriculum mandiri is actually a very good policy by the Ministry of Education at the moment, so everyone can have a chance to build their own dream, yeah, like to be themselves, yeah. And I think 50% of the curriculum should be muatan lokal. What is muatan lokal in English? Yeah, like local content or something like that. Yeah, should be like that, because at least half of what you learn have to be about yourself rather than another word, because you might not go to another that other world, but one thing that is certain is you will be yourself, and your homeland will not change. If you come from Borneo, you should learn about Borneo. Half of your time or half of your lesson should be about Borneo. What is Borneo? What is the risk that Borneo will face? Not the risk of Indonesia, not the risk of the world, but as a Borneo. And then you can do your part and contribute the best, because you become yourself. Yeah, not this is not just for indigenous people, for everyone. I think I already answered everything, I hope.
Okay, that would be great, and I hope that already answers all of the questions that we have. And I'm really sorry that I can't welcome any more question, any more raised hand, because we are running out of time. Ms. Butet Manurung has answered the last questions, and again, we thank you for your responses to these questions we received. And I would also like to thank all of the participants' enthusiasm and participation during this Q&A session. You've made this session even more interesting and the discussion even more fruitful. Congratulations for the three persons who raised their questions, Jayantari and Hirai. You're entitled this PM bookstore vouchers, yeah, and the committee will contact you for the gift. Thank you so much, Ms. Butet Manurung. Before wrapping up the session, I would like to welcome the President of Irec 2021, present our token of appreciation for Sekolah Institute and also for Ms. Butet Manurung in the form of donations we have gathered prior to this event today. So, Ms. Safira Alisha, I welcome you to the stage.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
All right, so good afternoon, honorable speakers. On behalf of our 2021 committee, this donation is given as a token of appreciation Ibu Butet and Pak Aris. So thank you so much for your time. We hope that through this donation, it could bring education inclusivity in Indonesia. So for documentation, we will be having a photo session. So speakers and attendees are welcome to take position. I will help lead the photo session. We start. All right. 1, 2, 3. That is enough.
I'm
Thank you
sorry,
so
I don't
much
know
once
why I'm
again.
disappear.
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you so much, Asha. Thank you. And we hope that this little gift we've prepared will be able to contribute to the mission of Sekolah in providing indigenous communities-led education in many parts of Indonesia. This has been a very interesting keynote session and discussion. And for the last 2 hours through this keynote session, we've engaged in comprehensive reflection with both of our speakers, even though we only had brief time with Professor Aris. With Professor Aris, we've discussed the efforts carried out by the government in mitigating educational crisis, especially through MBKM, the Campus Merdeka program, as well as the trajectory of our education system. While with Ms. Butet Manurung, we've also gained substantial insights, of course, regarding these are critics, critics and critics again towards the education system in Indonesia. The amazing indigenous communities in their education system, all of the shortcomings that require our attention, and also the many ways in which we can contribute to resolve these issues and support indigenous communities. And before ending the session, I, on behalf of the IREX 2021 committee, would like to extend our gratitude to Professor Aris Junaidi, and of course to the amazing Ms. Butet Manurung for your willingness to share some of your knowledge and experiences touching upon the issues of education in Indonesia. And from both speakers, we have definitely learned a lot, especially in how we can lend a helping hand to resolve the complex issues of education in Indonesia, not only for the present, but also for the future. And I would like to extend my apologies should I make any mistake throughout the course of this keynote session. Again and again, it has been my pleasure, and I'm humbled to share the stage with Professor Aris Junaidi, with Ms. Butet Manurung, and I, of course, look forward to seeing both of you and all of IREX participants, the committee, my beloved committee, on other opportunities in the future. I think that's all for me. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Butet Manurung, for staying here with us, joining us. And that would be the keynote session for today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings to all of us. Shalom, Om Santi Santi Om. Namo Buddhaya, benevolence, greetings, and Rahayu. With these greetings, I give back to Lintang and MD.
Thank you, Fanya, and thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
If there are any question, just inbox me from any email or social media. I will try to answer. Thank you so much, and apologize for any imperfection.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, uniformity kills diversity. What a deep message. As a person from a cultural background, I'm very much pleased and speechless of the knowledge that our keynote speakers has given us today. And thank you very much for all the keynote speakers that has given their speech. And that was such an inspiring, insightful, and motivating keynote session. Plus, we also get to see how IREC is participating in the enhancement of education in Indonesia by donating to Sekolah Institute.
Indeed, it is. Once again, thank you so much, Paris and Bu Butet, for your time and insightful sharing. Remember, aside from the donation that had already been earlier, we also are opening donations for Sekolah Institute. This donation will help bring quality education to secluded areas and indigenous communities all across Indonesia. Next slide, please. Yes, so for those who are interested in donating, you may donate to our Bank Mandiri and GoPay account as shown on the slide. To make donation easier, please add 1 rupiah at the end of the donation, and when you're done, please submit the transfer receipt to bit.ly/IREC21 donation. By 19th September 2021, we will transfer the donation direct to the Sekolah Institute bank account.
Yes, if you are interested in donating, please ask your LO for more information. We hope the keynote session warms up your brain to think about the grand theme for the day of the competition tomorrow. Now, to equip you better for tomorrow, let's go to the coaching clinic and technical meeting session.
Participants, don't forget to rename your username according to the instructions that will be given in the chat box. Then you can directly join the breakout room according to your competition name. Should you have any problem into going to the breakout room, please feel free to notify us throughout the Zoom chat, and please don't leave the Zoom meeting throughout the break time. We don't want to lose you yet. Thank you so much for participating in the opening ceremony of VARAC 2021. For those who are joining us via YouTube Live, we will end the live now. Thank you so much for